Good evening, my fellow Toastmasters and no guests. My name is Rofelson, and tonight I would like to talk about parliamentary procedure. This is the one I delivered during the secretary training. As you probably all know, this is one of the duties of a secretary to learn a basic parliamentary procedure. Now, I would like to start with two questions. What is a parliamentary procedure and why is it important? To answer these questions, parliamentary procedure is a set of rules for conducting a business at meetings. And it is important because it allows everyone to be heard and make decisions without any confusion. Now, let's talk about the four things that make up parliamentary procedures. Number one on the list is a fixed agenda. This consists of 4 stages. The first stage is when the chairperson opens up the meeting. The second stage is when the chairperson calls upon the secretary to read the minutes of the previous meeting. The chairperson will also call the treasurer to read any financial report, if any, and the committee representative to read any committee report. The third stage of this agenda is when the assembly and the chairperson will consider any motion put forward by a member. And the last stage would be when the chairperson adjourns the meeting. Now, let's talk about how members get their say before the assembly. Members will make a motion. What is a motion? A motion is a proposal it's a proposal where the assembly takes action on some issue. Now let's talk about the 5 different types of motion. The first on our list is we have the main motion. The main motion is where you present a subject to be considered by the assembly. Second on the list is subsidiary motions. Subsidiary motions is this motion is introduced to make any changes or how to handle the main motion. An example of this subsidiary motion is when you make a motion to amend the main motion. And the third on our list is a privilege motion. A privilege motion is this concerns special matters. An example of this is a motion to adjourn, especially if your meeting is already late and you wish to adjourn to another date. This motion will have to be considered immediately before any consideration of other motion. And then we have the fourth on the list, an incidental motion. This motion this will arise when there is a question about the rules. This arises because of the other motions. An example of this is when one of the team member wishes to suspend a rule, for example, a rule about debate during the meeting. You wish to dispense with the debate and proceed directly to the voting of the motion. And the last on the list, or the fifth on the list, is when there's a motion that bring a question before the assembly. Again, this can only be taken when there is no pending business. Now let's talk about how members present a motion. The first on the list is when the member must obtain the floor properly. You will see this if you are watching our House of Commons, how they conduct business. So they will talk to the speaker, mention their name, and the speaker will recognize them by repeating their name, and therefore you obtain the floor properly, and then you speak. You say, Mr. Chairperson, I would like to move for. That's how you present a motion. And then after that, the chairperson will, once you present your motion, an example of this is a motion to set a date for the spring contest. Now, you have to wait for a team member to second your motion. If no team member seconds your motion, then your motion will fail. If a team member seconds your motion, then your motion will go ahead. Then the chairperson will state your motion. The chairperson will, after the chairperson states your motion, then the motion will become the property of the assembly. Once once your motion has become the property of the assembly, then the chairperson will ask the assembly to everyone to debate on your motion, and the person who put the motion forward can speak first. Once all the debate, all the things has been said and done, then the chairperson will ask everyone if they are ready to proceed to vote. Once they are ready to proceed to vote, then that's the time where the voting will come in. So let's talk about the 5 types of voting. The first one on the list is by roll call. So how do you vote by roll call? The chairperson or his or her secretary will call your name, and then the team member will have to vote by yes or no on the question at hand. The second one is by general consent. The chairperson will ask the audience if there is any objection in passing the motion. If there is no objection, then the motion will pass. If there is an objection, then other kinds of voting methods will have to be done. The third on the list is by show of hands. So if the chairperson asks who would like to, if the chairperson asks who would like to pass this motion, then you raise your hands, and those who are opposed will also raise their hands, and the majority vote will win. And then we also have by voice. By voice means when the chairperson says who is in favor of this motion, then you say yes. If you are opposed, then you say no. And last on the list is by ballot. This is done by writing your vote in a piece of paper and putting it in the box, and then the chairperson will tally the votes and read the result or announce the result, and that's how you pass your motion. Before I end my speech, I would like to encourage everyone to have to research and to conduct their basic research about this parliamentary procedure. And I'm pretty sure that this will help everyone, especially when when conducting their meetings. Now I would like to pass the floor to our Toastmaster. Thank you.